brought it back beautifully. So it is an important goal for the Magpies, and they go away and race away to a 1-point lead.
Yes, they've really canted away, Andrew, haven't they? I know, it's been a good opening, taking away all the ball-ups, etc. But anyway, the Eagles through Chapman, try and work it forward. Fiacci knocked it out to the advantage of Wise. Ball spills, Jeffries has got it, wants to square it up. What'll he do? Goes with a long kick, up forward, no one can mark. Ball thumped to ground, working overtime. Eilert, kick around the body. Steed wants the ball to set, taken by Jeffries, who just marches away. Handball to Colville, who somehow found a bit of space. Short kick by Colville's a good one. Good spot up. And it's been marked by Shirley. 45 metres out directly in front, and should kick it.
We've seen another aspect of Robert Shirley. Against Centrals, he kicked 4 goals. Last week, he kicked a couple again. So he really has added another aspect to his game of actually becoming a goal-kicking on-baller. And it is important. He has been the one player, along with, the 2 players, him and Cicalero are the 2 architects as far as the Eagles are concerned. And they're going to need to get plenty of the footy today for the Eagles to get over the top of the Maggies.
Robert Shirley, long kick, just sits it up in the breeze, takes it away to the left, and just needed to draw that one right to left, but behind that brings scores level, 1-1-7 apiece.
I reckon both coaches will probably address it at quarter time. Look, let's not miss goals to that side of the thing, whichever side the breeze is going. If you're going to give it the opportunity, give it the opportunity to come back with the breeze.
So Archie taking his time with the kick out. Impressive footballer, this guy. Great defender. Drives the ball long, gets great distance with the ball. It's up towards the centre wing position. Port Adelaide through Ebert, well trapped. Got it away from his opponent. Drives it inside the forward 50. The target was O'Connor. It was knocked away from him. Well gathered by Ellen. Ellen takes the hand pass option to O'Connor. Straightens up. Has a crack at the goals. What's the result? Minor score.
Once again, another opportunity there, Neil. But it was interesting from Stephen Hall there. Made the contest against Ryan O'Connor and then went back to the goal square where Ryan O'Connor stayed out and had a relatively easy shot at goal, if you can call that in this breeze. Unfortunately, unable to finish.
Darzanos boots it long. Matthews in best position takes the mark. Good grab in front of Clayton. Matthews in the long sleeves today. I tell you what, if I was playing, I'd have them on. You worry about that, even though I do come from Tasmania. It is pretty cold at Alberton. Long kick. Ball spills over the back. Neiman does well. Inside handball to Cicalella. Can't get the handle on it. Bounces off a couple. Ball played. Cicalella gets it away. Away they go. Long kick. Pumping long ball. Archie was there. In fact, it was Kluver. Ball knocked down. Picked up by Colville. Round the corner. Might have just missed. Sprayed it out to the left. And they get another behind. Brings scores level again. 1-2-8 apiece.
And both sides having a lot of opportunities here. That actually opportunity came about because Jared Eilert decided to bump rather than tackle. He should have really laid a tackle on Robert Shirley then.
Lots of room here for Chris Robertson on this side of the ground. We haven't seen much of the play. Michael Parsons told us beforehand that was going to be the way the game went. Here's McLaughlin, back to Darzanos. Used the pace, used the speed, got away, delivered a perfect pass to Matthews, who in turn, further afield, he's got Bock leading for him, and a little too much weight. Finishes in the hands of Kluver. So Kluver just drives it long and high. This sets a task for Mead. At least he brings it to the ground. Now they crash in. Mead off the ground, just toe pokes it forward. Might get to the line before Lyle could do much with it. Oh, now he's trapped it, gone over it. He might be in a bit of trouble here. No. Umpire says, I'll have it, thank you very much. A few Eagles fans rugged up and the crowd didn't agree.
Probably fairly lucky there, Neil, but you can see Darren Mead's job today is just to create a contest at centre-half forward.
Matthew Ashley gets it down. Allison delivers to Colville. Tried to be clever, got wiped out by a couple of tacklers. Now the ball's on the ground. That was a throw. Went to Cicalella, so perhaps a little bit of fortune there for the Eagles. The ball now on the ground. Neiman's over it. I think he might have towed it on. Well, I thought he might have towed it over the line on the full. Nevertheless, it's a throw.
Support the boundary umpire.
What was that, Michael?
I support the boundary umpire. Correct decision.
Certainly. You're a lot closer than I am.
And that'll be a pivotal duel today between David Neiman and Nigel Fegan. Both players, the Eagles rely heavily on David Neiman to bring the ball forward for their crummers.
Well, he got it down to McLaughlin, who kicks long, looking for Bock. Bock in best position takes the mark. Just judged it a little bit better over the back. And Nathan Bock will kick from 35, 40 metres out from goal and looking for the Eagles second.
Stephen Williams will be very disappointed there in Kluver, who actually fell over. I mean, a cardinal sin in football is to keep your feet. while the ball's in there, he really didn't have any pressure. He just had to make a contest. Lost his feet, fell over. Now we see Nathan Block take an easy mark and just gets a late goal for the Eagles.
Let's see if he can draw it left to right. Well, horrible looking kick. Might have been touched off the boot. Didn't quite get enough of it. He'd be a little bit disappointed with that. Early whistle by the umpire. We'll just wait and see exactly what's going on. It may be a free kick to Woodville West Torrens. We'll just wait. I think it is for a high tackle to go to Fiachi. So box kick, not the best. And just about fooled everybody, and then a high tackle on Fiachi.
And committed the cardinal sin there, Nathan Block, kicked into the man on the mark. I mean, he was well inside his distance. Should have gone back another 5 metres, not kicked into the man on the mark. Luckily for the Eagles, they get a free kick just in front. Left-footed Peter Fiachi should be able to open the goals up here and finish with the goals, and just give the Eagles just that goal they need, just late in time on.
Tricky kick for Fiachi. I think he might have just wound it round the right way. The goal umpire says yes. Awkward looking kick, but he gets his first. The Eagles get their second. They move to 2-2-14. Port Adelaide 1-2-8. Good goal by Fiachi in the end.
And an important goal too, Michael. They really have, I mean, the inside 50s are 11-6, so they really have had most of the play down there. And you can see Peter Fiachi just takes his time. Just he kicked it hard, which is important. He didn't try to just steer it through. He gave it a full leg and gets an important goal for the Eagles midway through time on here in the first quarter.
For the Eagles with Fiachi again. Gee, dodges well in the middle off his left leg, drives it in long, looking for a big mark, and that was rewarded too. There's Bock. Came over the back and took a very strong mark.
And there we can see the importance there of getting the ball out of the middle. I mean, Peter Fiachi, a left footer who generally come back to their left-footed side and fool everyone where right footers normally come the other way. And Nathan Block gets the reward for playing in front when kicking into the breeze.
Well, we'll see if he went to school on his last kick. Pretty difficult, as we saw from Fiachi's kick. It really does swirl around up there. He puts it up, waits for it to come back, and he's missed to the right-hand side. But as Andrew has suggested, that at least is the good side to miss on.
I think the coach would, while disappointed he's missed the goal, would be saying, okay, well, look, he gave it every opportunity to come back with the breeze. Let's learn from that kick and probably not allow so much next time.
Robertson goes short and spots up Ebert outer side of the ground. So he's been pretty prominent. Brad Ebert celebrating his opportunity to play with his train, at least with his beloved Port. Long kick, Pedler over the back. So good judgment there. Joe Pedler, one of the good, tough, rugged defenders of the competition. He's safe with the hands. Long kick, kicks it down toward half forward. Neiman just worked his way to the front. In they go, Shirley. Look away handball, wasn't good. Ebert couldn't snag it. Lindsay, good poise. McKenzie, oh, he's been tackled hard. Ball spills out to Shirley. Now Shirley's a goal kicker, lays it off. Handball to Henschel. Henschel's kick one, goes for goal and has just missed. Well, they may pay for that later in the game, the Eagles. Henschel from about 25 metres out and closing. Should have kicked that one, Andrew.
And we saw in last week's game, we covered here on ABC TV, that Centrals didn't quite put Norwood away in the first quarter. Norwood were able to respond in the second half and run over the top of them. So early goals are important just to put scoreboard pressure. They really have had most of the play. They just need to finish a little bit better in front of goal.
So 8 points the margin, 25 and a half minutes gone. It will not be a long quarter. Archie brought the ball to ground, and Eamon trying to get a hand pass forward. He got it successfully forward about a metre before it was cut off, and eventually we'll get a throw up or a ball down. Take your pick. Just wait on the umpire to decide.
And while the conditions are really tough, the Eagles have had two golden opportunities in the last 5 minutes just to put a bit of a space between them and the Magpies.
The lovely hit out by Ackland, I think it was, to Ashley. Ashley was a lovely kick out on the full. I think it was a spectator over there calling for the ball, and he was fooled.
Yeah, it's a bit like the Noarlunga breeze today, Neil, that the breeze is
the
actually
mythical Noarlunga breeze, I must say, because the South officials will certainly tell you it doesn't exist.
The ball's going to be on the outer side, as we've seen here in this first quarter most of the day. You cannot afford to kick it too high because the breeze is going to keep dragging it back to that side.
Oh, that's a good grab by Neiman, unfortunately. It's his first grab for the quarter, I think. It is. Moggy gives me the nod, and yet he's taken it on siren time. So I don't think he's actually going to add to the score, but he's going to have a bit of a belt at it. He is a long kick, but gee whiz, he'd need a very strong leg into this breeze, and he doesn't really get anywhere near it. So quarter time, And it's an 8-point margin in favour of the Eagles. They would be happy with that result into the breeze, Andrew.
I think they certainly would be. I mean, if you said to Ron Fuller at quarter time, look, we've got an 8-point margin kicking into the breeze, I think we'd be quite happy with that. And they really have had most of the play. They've just been a little bit cleaner through the midfield. Port Adelaide just can't seem to get any system. Early on, they play with a little bit of flair, but unfortunately the conditions aren't conducive to that type of play today. They need to persevere, just to get some leadership from Braden Lyle we see on the screen there. I suggest they're going to show Ryan O'Connor in the...
8 points the margin. Here's Michael Maney.
Back in the centre as the second term gets underway. An 8-point lead to the Eagles. Ackland has done pretty well in the ruck. Beat Lindsay that time. Ball down, Shirley. They fight after it. Fiacci was there. Ackland just with a bit of strength. Handball. Darzanos went without it. In goes Bamford. Give away the free kick, I think. I think he had one thing on his mind, Tony Bamford there. And that was Darzanos' nose into the turf. And Darzanos gets a free kick. So the Eagles work their way forward. Good-looking kick's been marked by Chapman. Lays off to Sikalella. Sikalella, short kick. Bouncing ball. Out comes Bock. Didn't get a free kick. Just ridden into the ground. Good defence by the Magpies as they lock it up half forward for the Eagles.
You can see the Eagles just trying to move the ball a little bit quickly there. The conditions aren't really conducive to that. I mean, go back. I mean, Greg Chapman should have gone back there. Look, let's look at our opportunities and go back and perhaps nail the goal from inside 50.
Away go the Maggies. Loken's on the ground. Robertson, the man, getting it to him. Long kick out of side, looking for Ellen. Matthews hot on his hammer. The only winner there, the boundary line.
And of course, Shane Ellen coming off a 7-goal performance in the reserves last week, and Scotty Matthews, who generally does a tagging role on the taller forwards, fixed up Daniel Healy a couple of weeks against Centrals. He's got the job on Shane Ellen today.
Wind blusting out there, gusting, blusting, whatever.
It's got a bit of rain in it too, Michael, but the guys that aren't getting wet for the Eagles, Hayden Skipworth, Jason Earl and Brett Fruin, just like it started the game.
Just reflecting Michael's point that the game's all being played on the outer side, the leading possession getters in that first quarter are opposing wingmen in Brett Ebert and Mark Jeffries. Good
point, Moggy, as Lindsay takes it out of the pack, gets it towards Darzanos, who loves to do that little bit of an exercise. He just moves from side to side. Good mark by Neiman in front. So Darzanos kicking to the focal point, and that's a good opportunity here for the Eagles. Way to play it into a slight breeze. Long kick by Neiman. McLaughlin thrown out by Loken. Free kick. Pretty obvious there. Loken couldn't quite hold his own ground, so he scruffed hold of McLaughlin, and it is a free kick.
And a pretty undisciplined act there by Loken. I mean, the ball's going around. I mean, Josh McLaughlin was never really going to mark that anyway. And look, I think Steve Millions wouldn't be really happy with that effort.
Well, he may... well, he's only just come onto the ground, Andrew, so he may see a little bit of that warm bench again. Giving away a free kick 20 metres out directly in front is not good. As McLaughlin kicks, and I think he might have popped it through. Teammates go rushing to him. They're pretty happy. So the Eagles get the early one. They move to 3-4-22. Port Adelaide 1-2-8.
And you can see the importance there of David Neiman, how he provides a focal point at centre-half forward, was able to take the mark against Nigel Figart, bring it back in, and he brought it directly out in front of goal, so the players know exactly where that's going to go. Josh McLaughlin gets a simple free kick, and importantly for the Eagles, kicks the goal. So now they get a nice little break here. They're able to relax about the way they play footy, and just puts a little bit more doubt in the Magpies' mind.
And just to reinforce how the weather is in Adelaide today, looking up at the scoreboard, South Adelaide 5-1 lead Central Districts 2-4. I suggest that South were kicking with the breeze at Noarlunga.
You'd kind of hope so. Ball held in the middle. We'll get another bounce. Certainly the conditions difficult to say the least. It's 14 points the margin here. A little bit of rain coming in yet again. We're going to see a lot of that this afternoon. And the umpires picked out a free kick this time. Darren Mead. No, he tried to take it away from Kane Ackland, but Kane Ackland rewarded with the free kick. So he decides to play on, runs about 3 steps and then belts it as long as he can. The target was O'Connor in the middle of 2. He brought it to ground. Allison picked it up and he was dumped. Umpire will come in. Say fair go, boys.
It's interesting that the Magpies try to bring the ball to this side of the ground all the time for the protection from the grandstands. Just tend to get more length with your kick. It's easier to kick a goal from this side of the ground.
That's an interesting theory. I don't know if the grandstands are as big as Footy Park. Mead bunts the ball forward. Clayton just got there ahead of Hall. Just got it into the forward pocket out of bounds. I don't know if the grandstands here afford that much protection, Andrew, particularly from the sort of blustery winds we've got here.
But generally, Port, over the years, the Magpies would much prefer to play this side of the ground in front of their faithful.
Well, the faithful all rugged up this afternoon, no doubt about that. Here's O'Connor at the front. Opportunity to take the ball, just bunted it down. He got it to Bamford. Now Darzanos against the flow. Ball still in dispute. Breaking through Matthews. Well done, Scotty Matthews. Breaks away. Kicks it up forward looking for Chapman. Chapman sort of overran the ball. Allowed Eilert to come away. Just kicks it away towards half forward. It's 2 and 3 on 1. McKenzie was over the ball. Seemed to be manhandled. Lyle finished with it. Got a hand pass out. Shot a hand pass out. Now it's Allen. Steady in the face of a bit of pressure, and he farmed out a hand pass as well. They get it up towards half forward, a one-hander, casual as you like, by Paul Lindsay. His kick was spot on to Bock, and now they've opened up the play a little bit on the wing, although ahead of Bock there's not too many options. He goes for Robert Shirley. Oh, well done. Chris Robertson wanted to take the body. Shirley got inside him, took the mark. Now to McLaughlin in the middle. This opens up. The target down forward was Henschel. Just a little bit too much of a task set by McLaughlin, and it's out of bounds, far side of the ground at the Alberton Oval. It's 14 out of defence. Now it's off to Ebert. Ebert likes his pace. Oh, gave off a hand pass. It was perhaps a bit risky in the end. They closed down. Here's Sikalella. Little hand pass looking for McKenzie. Didn't find him. In the end, the ball will be taken by the umpire for a bounce down. 16 minutes, second term. Port Adelaide trailing by 3 points. The Eagles pressing for another goal.
And the Eagles just missing targets at the moment. They're not just doing their instinctive thing, their first thing. They just need to give the first thought and just get it going forward. The weather is conducive to not, flipping the ball around with handballs, etc. They've had a high number of ratios, 62 kicks to 46 handballs. It's probably a little bit too high for these conditions. So just get it on the boot, get it going forward, and let's just play a few more percentages.
And one person that won't add to his stats for a little while, Shane Allen, hasn't had a big impact, sits down. Stephen Carter comes onto a half-forward flank.
Eilert goes through for the Magpies. Sikalella jumps on him. Umpire will call for a bounce. Yeah, Shane Allen hasn't had much of the footy, and I think Stephen Carter will probably add a bit of physical presence to the Magpies. Umpire bathed in warm sunshine here at Albert. Ball knocked away by O'Connor. Fiacci held on to, could have got rid of the footy. The umpire said it was held to him. Well, I thought he might have had Pryor there, Andrew.
Yeah, he almost had Pryor. He had the ball in his hands and someone grabbed his jumper. I mean, the umpires have been fairly lenient on holding the balls today.
Lindsay and O'Connor, they nullify each other. Sikalella went in hard. Ball spills out. Eilert couldn't get it. Neiman bends down, tries to knock it out. Another pack forming, and the umpire races in.
I mean, each week, Michael, I speak about it. There's too many numbers around the footy for the Eagles. They need to clear it out, get some space in their forward line, and see if they can get a clean breakaway from this pack.
Darren Mead, perfect tap. Chris Robertson knew it was coming, takes possession, takes the ball and tries to bounce it. That was a mistake. Then he tries a torpedo. That was probably a mistake as well. Carter almost trapped it, couldn't. Flip forward by Steve. Now Ashley trapped it well. Then off to Clayton, straightening, could kick a goal, and over the back, does kick a goal. Well, Lux of Fortune, that was a great shepherd in the goals. Might have been Logan, got his man off the ball.
And you can see the great thing about Port Adelaide doing, they're pushing all their numbers back into defence and then running the ball out. And it was a great tap by Darren Mead in front of us here in the commentary position to Chris Robinson. They moved the ball forward where they had plenty of space, and you can see Mark Clayton there just finished with a nice goal. Well shepherded through by Matthew Logan. Whether it's illegal or not, that's up to the umpire to interpret. And so they just kept it alive and said to Matty Ashley, feed it out wide. Mark Clayton, with one of his rare opportunities for the day, was able to get it through for a goal, and the Magpies take the lead.
Pretty versatile player. Clayton back or forward. Ball spills out. Away they go again. The Magpies through Lyle. The kick will be marked at half back by Hall. Plenty of treatment there from Carter. That'll be a good stoush. Carter and Hall. Squares it up. Goes to Allison, who'll come broadcast side of the ground. Has nothing to kick to at all, so decides to go for the boundary. Well, the umpire, if he gets really red hot, you can ping him for that, but when they kick it generally, Andrew.
Don't encourage that, Michael.
Well, I've seen it too many times, Michael. I just think a good umpire will actually pull that up and give that deliberate.
Certainly his objective then was to get it over the boundary line and start it again. So, look, to the letter of the law that was deliberate.
Yep, Islet. Oh, crashed by Fruin. Well, that's a fair dinkum hip and shoulder, but anyway, he gets a free kick for it.
Michael, you've got to take responsibility encouraging them to blow their whistle too much.
Thanks for that, Michael. Picked up by O'Connor. Oh, just slipping over. There was Ackland. Couldn't take the mark. Laid it off somehow to Lyle. Umpire blows the whistle. Free kick to Port Adelaide. It'll go to Braden Lyle against Rob Shirley for a high tackle. And a little bit of spirit in this game, a little bit of spite. And I don't think Braden Lyle can kick it, Michael.
And I reckon Brent Fruin would like to have that again. I reckon he's got to go, and you've got to tackle there, Brent. I just feel as though that if you're going to try to bump, it's got to be a dead set setup, and you've got to really hurt the guy. He hasn't hurt him. All of a sudden, Braden Lyle gets a resultant free kick from Brent Fruin's unwillingness to tackle.
Umpire Chambers just checking the mark. Right on 50, Braden Lyle, the ex-Port Adelaide power player. Boots it long. Going for distance. They fly. Good attack by the Eagles. Good defensive work. McLaughlin kicks it off the ground. Islet's there for the Maggies. In they go. Potter. Quick handball. Colville. So they get it away again, the Eagles. Fiarchi. In fact, it was Chapman who got it to Matthews. Matthews is going to be caught. Gets the handball away, but gets a free kick for a high tackle.
No.
Well, maybe they're over-umpiring the situation, but a free kick will go to the Eagles.
I mean, a great chase there from Hayden Kluver. Made all the ground trying to get hold of Scotty Matthews. He just held up long enough for the Port Adelaide Magpies to flood back now.
Matthews' kick was spot on, though. Found Shirley. Shirley now looks to a crowded forward 50. Fruin's led on this side of the ground, run down from half-back. Will take the mark, look inside 50. Still a long way, about 70 metres from goal. We're into time on. 3 points the margin in favour of Port Adelaide in the second term.
I mean, Brent Fruin looks up and he's got Ryan O'Connor, Kane Ackland, and a number of Port Adelaide Magpies taller blokes pushing back into the space exactly where he wants to kick it.
So he kicks it there nevertheless, and O'Connor takes the mark. So I don't know if that was the best proposition, best option for Fruin. O'Connor hands it off to Lyle. Lyle's kick kept it low, looking for Mead. From behind came Fruin, knocked it away, took Mead as well. Now he tackles, well done. A little bit of desperation. He's come off the bench and wants to get warm in a hurry, Brent Fruin.
And of course, that was a lot better from Brent Fruin there. And able just to tackle there. It was a strong tackle. Much better attempt on the footy there.
Cicolella thrown away without the ball. Umpire calls a play on. Colville did well in the pack, got it forward. Archie, though, led his man to the ball. Ball did bounce out of his arms. He's still trying to get away. Umpire could ping him instead. Lets it play on. On the ground, Skipworth. He couldn't take a clean, or couldn't get a clean possession. They farm it away. Cicolella, lovely little gift to Jeffries. Been quiet in this quarter. Couldn't get a clean disposal. It's outside 50. Islet set it up. Fruin at the front. Brings it at ground. On the ground is Big O'Connor. Steed, hand pass smothered, didn't matter. Manuel got it off, or rather, Ashley got it off to Mead. Now down to the centre wing. It's over the back. Hall comes in to try and tackle Carter, who was good enough to get a hand pass forward. Now Steed, off to Carter again, running inside 50. Could be a goal coming up for Port Adelaide. It is. Lovely finish from Stephen Carter.
And isn't that a carbon copy of the previous goal that is kicked? The Eagles worked hard. Port Adelaide pushed all their numbers back into the space. They were able to eventually work it out. Just keep the ball alive in their forward line when there was plenty of space. And Stephen Carter would have been a long time since he's gone forward and actually kicked the goal. Finishes nicely. And all of a sudden, the Magpies, you can see just their intensity around the footy. They're suddenly tackling harder. They're starting to believe that there's a real big chance in this game.
Magpies have also got Ryan O'Connor around the ball, which is one of the things that was missing in that first quarter.
4 goals to 1 in this term to the Magpies, and they take a 9-point lead. 5-2 to 3-5. Ackland back in the ruck. Ball knocked away. Picking up is Ebert. Now he'll thump it long. Good long kick, looking for Mead, pushes off Pedler. Mead can't take the mark, well played Pedler. Mead back onto the football again. Goes in after it. Pedler, just with a bit of poise, puts up the footy and boots it out. Horrible looking kick, could have done better, taken by Islet. That's Jared Islet, doesn't quite know where to go, gets around Shirley. Gets it to Wilson. Wilson, dummies one, can cut inboard, had a couple of options, kicks it long, and Fruin takes the mark. Fruin lays it off to Cicolella, who's had a fair few possessions today, perhaps not as many as previous weeks. Short kick, and finds McLaughlin outer side of the ground. Shirley with plenty of space on the outer side, kicks it up long. target is Lindsay. Ball spills over the back. Mackenzie gets the run of the footy, hemmed in on the boundary line, handball back. So away they go. Henschel, kick might have been smothered and goes out of bounds. So an opportunity for the Eagles wasted, Andrew.
Michael, Justin Sikula, 16 possessions, not even half-time yet.
It's also well and good to have 16 possessions. I mean, it's what you do with those possessions. He hasn't probably been as constructive as what he has in previous weeks.
Ball in. Smith tried to come from behind, was pushed off the ball. Now Fiachi sort of got maybe a hand pass. Ball on the ground again. Matthew Ashley taken to ground. Umpire will take possession. 45 metres from the Eagles attacking goal. Ball down and O'Connor immediately put the arm out, and immediately Lindsay threw him aside, and immediately the umpire said that's a free kick. So Ryan O'Connor, McGarry medalist last year together with Tony Brown, drives the ball long towards the wing. Matthew Ashley just comes over the top. Boy, he's industrious. Now it's Wilson. Held his feet well, got tackled. Back to Ashley again, put his head down. And ready for the challenge. In comes Mead and just carries it over the line. So centre wing, they've worked it there. Port Adelaide, and they've really worked it there.
They've been growing in confidence, so you can just see their game plan. They're starting to run forward. They're trusting their teammates are giving the footy. So all of a sudden, they just see a real transference, a change in momentum in the game.
A couple of tough tackles as well, as Wilson really thumped his opponent into the ground. Ronnie Fuller, just a few more frown lines for him. After a quarter time, they led by 8 points, the Eagles, and they were kicking with the breeze, or they are kicking with the breeze in this second term, but they've been well and truly outscored. The margin 9 points at the 26-minute mark in favour of Port Adelaide, and they're going nowhere. Robert Shirley got a free kick out of that. Not quite sure where it was, but the umpire obviously saw it. Play on, and they go up towards their forward 50.
The target was Henschel, but he was in the middle of the pack. In goes Skipworth and just sees it to the boundary line. So good quarter by the Magpies. Goals by Ashley, Logan, Clayton and Carter, and McLaughlin, the sole goal kicker. There's Stephen Williams. He'd be pretty happy with what he's seen in the second term, you would think, the Port Adelaide coach. Well, knocked down, siren time. It's half time at Alberton, and a good quarter, as I mentioned, for Port Adelaide, kicking 4 goals to 1. The Maggies 5-2-32 lead the Eagles 3-5-23 by 9 points. And whilst Woodville, West Torrens not out of it, Andrew, I think maybe the Magpies just showed a little bit more hard physical.
This week, yes. Sturt didn't win a grand final in 1983. They won one in 1976. I'm well aware of it. The winner last week in our tipping, Stephen Brown of Adelaide, although I can tell you he's known as Brownie by the Athelston Football Club, and he won last week. The top 10 looks like this, with John Storer leading the way from Aaron Smith, and still Anthony Krieg way up there, living in Canberra, and Ian Grundy living in Melbourne, still able to be part of our tipping online. Great to see that. Right across Australia, there is interest, obviously, in the football.
A bit of an indictment on the South Australian football followers that we can get a Victorian and a person from the ACT that actually can be beating us. So.
Well, never mind. Great to see that interest. Now, in that quarter, Matty Loken, we talked about his ability to kick a goal on the run, and of course he did this virtually from this angle against North Adelaide at Prospect, and that was a really good finish to a good run down the far side of the ground.
And it was an important time of the game for the Magpies. They'd worked really hard to force their way back into the game. They were probably down by a couple of goals in, and it just needed someone to create a spark, and Matthew Loken was the one. And the good thing about it was he actually kicked it hard and full leg straight at the goals. I mean, with the breeze, you've either got to do that or allow for the breeze. He elected to kick it hard and straight at the goals.
And you can feel the confidence from the players, but also the fans. All of a sudden, there's an interest in Port Adelaide's prospects at the moment. Mark Clayton, another good finish, and another example, as you said, of kicking the ball hard.
They did. They kept the ball hard and low into the breeze. The breeze cannot affect it as much. They just, all of a sudden, there's a bit more desperation, a bit more intensity about their play. And you see Mark Clayton, the very versatile Mark Clayton, keeps it low into the breeze, gets a push of some sort from Matthew Loken, pushes the Eagles defender out of the road, and Port Adelaide get the richly reserved goal they deserve.
Yes, but look, I had my suspicions about how that ball found Matthew Ashley. Alfie Steed looked like he definitely threw it out. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. It was a goal. Stephen Carter, another one on the run. Again, this is just, we're seeing example after example from that second term where Port Adelaide push the ball forward and then run it as best they can, and they open up the play.
They do. They push back in numbers and they create space in their forward line and quick transference of play. And all of a sudden you find it in there. You find it in their forward line with plenty of space to work with. They keep the ball alive and finish with goals.
And as a result, as we see, they had 4-goal-to-1 second term. Well, there's the value of goal umpire Cam. It gives you a very, very good view of what's going, well, if not through the mind of the goal umpire, certainly what he's seeing.
A lot of excitement from the Eagles guys in the middle of the ground. You can tell that they can sense victory. And Alfie Steed comes back onto the ground. 2 more notches pulled tight in the jockstrap.
Well, the Eagles won a close one. That's a high tackle. That'll be a free kick. No, on the blind side of the umpire. So we'll get another bounce down. The Eagles won a close one over Port Adelaide at Woodville in round 10. Another look at this goal and how close was it? Oh, gee, that's a close decision. Whole of the ball has to be beyond the line for it to be a goal. The umpire thought it was, and rewarded the Eagles. They're 7 points up. We're approaching 19 minutes in the final quarter. Back to what I was saying, in round 10 at Woodville, the Eagles won by 3 points. And in round 1 at Alberton, it was a 27-point margin in favour of Port Adelaide. Well, there's a good training video anyway for the goal umpires. Ball down in the middle, still nobody able to get away with it. No clean possession. The Eagles, though, work it forward. Skipworth's kick looking for Allison. Too short of him, and Archie did well. Allison did well to come back at him. Now Archie, the consummate defender. Oh, he's caught! Umpire throwing the ball. A free kick to Darzanos. Shirley wanted to go on with it. Nobody up in the goal square. Darzanos has the option of kicking long now or losing it. Instead, he tries to go short. And Bamford turns it over, puts on the afterburner. He's run away. In fact, it's Robertson. Drives it towards the wing. Kluber was the target. He can't mark it. Out of bounds. Centre wing approaching. Time on in the final term, and at 7 points, the Eagles lead it. Do they have the legs, Andrew?
I mean, desperate times call for desperate actions, and you can see there desperation from both sides. You know, Eagles just make the tackle, Port then turn the body over. Just going to be which team can a little bit more composed in this last quarter.
And how important has that man, number 1 for the Eagles, been in this last term, Skipworth?
I mean, Rod Fuller asked a special effort from him. Greg Chapman's also been important. The Eagles on ballers have just been able to get on top in this last quarter.
Boundary throw in. Mead thumped it down. Hall will go for the boundary. Didn't quite like exactly that particular result. Out of bounds on the full. Free kick will go to Ashley. So Matthew Ashley will kick Port Adelaide into attack. Umpire just brings him around.
He confused the boundary umpire then as he was backing him up.
Long kick by Ashley. No one can take a mark. Ball spills. Cicolella, who kicked that great goal a moment ago. Fruin got it out. Jeffries, nowhere to go. Handball, back. Skipworth, off one step. Ackland takes the mark. So the stakes pretty high here. Port Adelaide, their season on the line. A chance for the Eagles to consolidate a finals opportunity. Short kick by Ackland. Finds Cameron Islet, who marks. The Magpies need to get a wriggle on. Islet's just holding up proceedings, so they all flood back. Long kick by Islet to a packed situation. Mark not taken. Ball spills, and the Eagles lock it up. Good result for Woodville West Torrens there, as Islet just dwelt on it a little bit. Only a young player, and probably could have moved on a bit quicker.
And it's going to take an individual action from a Magpie player to actually make something happen. Maybe take a risk, get the ball out in the open, and then run onto an open goal. This is playing right into the Eagles' hands here. You can see it's just going to be ball up after ball up. They're going to be quite happy to dive in on top of the footy. What the Port Adelaide Magpies need to do is clear the area out, take their Eagles player out, go to a dangerous position, and then clear some space so they can get a clean takeaway.
Well, there's a chance for Bamford. A hand pass back to Ebert. He's a big kick and he goes short. Oh, with a little punt there off the Kluber around the corner. Hall sits back. Opportunity for him. Plenty of time even to spill the mark and then drive it out to the far side of the ground. McLaughlin the target. Well done by McLaughlin. Taken the mark and done the right thing. Gone back. Just gives his side a chance to run forward and give him an option. Lindsay's doing just that at the moment. So McLaughlin drives it up long towards half forward. Neiman just bustled under the ball. It goes over the back. That looked high. Umpire called it. And Chapman will take the free kick.
Just showing good composure at the moment. The Eagles just not panicking under pressure. They just seem to have the game in hand at the moment.
So beyond the 22-minute mark in the final term, 7 points to margin. Eagles bidding to become just the fifth club this season to come from behind at three-quarter time and win. Tied up at half forward for the Eagles.
And of course, it's at the wrong end for the Magpies. Now, once again, they need to make a quick transference of play, whether it be to this side where there's space. They need to find space to kick a quick goal.
Pedler comes through, finds a bit of space, creates a bit of space off the left leg. Any score will do. Over the back, still in dispute. Archie goes for the line. Fegert goes for the line too. Allison comes at him, well done. Still in dispute, out of bounds, around about 30 metres around from the Eagles' goals. And the umpire will throw the ball back into play. One of those Eagles fans just couldn't look.
Bit of emotion there. Boundary throw in. Lindsay knocks it down. Skipworth, important. Handball back. Colville, good kick. Archie just thumps it away, outer side of the ground. So Robertson, can he haul it in? Well played by Chapman, just got in there and knocked the ball out. Well played, good chasing out of the contest, back into the contest and just knocked it away.
And of course it was, Michael. I mean, it was a 2-on-1 situation, and we know Chris Robinson is very quick. If he had been able to gather that ball quickly, he could have raced the ball down the other end, but good pressure there by Greg Chapman.
Only been 4 goals kicked in this quarter, so you wouldn't think we'd have too much time on. Sikalila takes the ball out of bounds. Still time for Port Adelaide if they are good enough. But gee, you'd have to say the odds are with the Eagles at the minute.
All 3 quarters so far, we've been between 26.5 and 26 3/4.
Thanks for that, Ian. Boundary throw in. Up goes Pedler. Tries to take it out of the ruck. They just lock it up. This is the Eagles' game plan at the moment. Ronnie Fuller would have got the message out to all the players. Let's lock it up where we can and snuff out any opportunity that the Magpies have. There's Robertson. He's feeling the pinch a bit. He's copped a pretty tough one up around near the shoulder region. 49 plays 56, ticking just about into 25 minutes this final term. Ball outer side of the ground. Umpire's blown the whistle. Free kick will go to the Magpies. It'll go to Ashley as Gavin Colville throws the ball back. Westies will do it easily over the Bays. They lead by 53, and Centrals have kicked 17 points in front of South Adelaide. Ball out of the back, taken by Earl, who lays it off to Sikalala. Siren! The Eagles win. Port Adelaide's season has gone, and as the ball bounces, we register one more behind, perhaps to the Eagles. That could be very, very important. So a late behind there. I think that score may move to 8-9-57. We'll just wait on the goal umpires as they do. But the Eagles have secured a finals berth. A great win to them, Andrew Rogers.
And it certainly is, Michael. I mean, they've done it the hard way. They've come from behind. It was a game-shaping day for the Eagles. They could have really cemented their place in the finals, and they have that. They've squared their ledger at 8-8. They are now virtually assured of playing finals footy, and they continue their momentum. For the Port Adelaide Magpies, well, that's just about their season now. They now front up to Centrals and then Sturt the week after. You would think they're both going to lose those games. So now it is definitely a rebuilding stage for the Magpies. But a good win today for the Eagles. I'm sure that Ron Fuller would be happy. They were severely challenged by a very spirited Port Adelaide today. But just a little bit in that last quarter, the Ron Ballers were able to get their hands on the footy. They were a little bit cleaner, kick some goals into whatever breeze there is. So congratulations to the Eagles, and unfortunately for the Magpies, that could well be their season.
Yes, well, you can tell from the, pardon me, the emotion has got to me. You can tell from the emotion of the players that the Eagles obviously realise the importance of that win, and there's nothing like a win at Alberton to really gel a side either.
It certainly is. I mean, early in the year we saw it on ABCT, the Magpies stitched them up pretty comfortably in the first game of the year, and the Eagles have had very few wins down here at Alberton, and from everyone today, the Magpies have inflicted a lot of pain on the Eagles, as well as a number of other clubs, and for once the Eagles have actually been able to inflict and get some sort of revenge back on the Magpies.
Well, a young player who did very, very well today is with Michael, and it's Josh McLaughlin.
Josh, it must be good to come down to Albert and get a win. How does that one feel?
Oh, best feeling ever, mate. Awesome. it's awesome.
There seems to be some consistency coming into the Eagles team leading up to the finals. Must be a pretty good feeling around the club at the moment.
Yeah, the last month's just been it's just been amazing. The spirit around the club's just been awesome. All the boys really starting to believe that we actually are a contender this year, I think. So it's been great.
And good for you as well. I think you had a little time away from footy last year. Tell us about that and the last 4 games.
Yeah, I've been up in the Riverland for a couple of years playing with Barmah Monash. And, I mean, some people might say it was probably not the right thing to do, but I think I've probably learned a lot going up there, so I don't regret it at all.
Well, it came through today. I thought you played a particularly good game. Congratulations. Enjoy the victory.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
There's plenty to be happy about if you're Josh McLaughlin. He spent some time, of course, in the juniors here with the Eagles, and then he went up to Barmah to have a bit of a break, and now he's back with the Eagles and really showed some good form today.
He certainly has. He's certainly found plenty of the footy. He kicked an important goal in the second quarter, and he used the ball well. He was very efficient with the footy, and he really has been a find for the Eagles this year.
And Greg Chapman, he's been important. We saw him last quarter. He was thrown into it the other week against Centrals and displayed some good form there. And here he just gets on the end of a great piece of roving, in fact.
Yeah, it was a great bit of crumbing. I mean, the Eagles kept kicking it to the so-called hotspot or the target just in front of goals. And Greg Chapman with a perfect crumb. Ron Fuller asked him for an effort at three-quarter time. He was able to deliver with the all-important first goal of the last quarter.
And you do have to credit David Neiman. Then I just noticed the palm down, in effect, is what he gave him, and he did collect it very, very well.
I think the important thing was also that the palm down was actually towards the centre. It wasn't towards the boundary line, it was towards the centre. And that's the skill level and what David Neiman does bring to the Eagles.
And now on the boundary with Michael is the victorious coach, Ronnie Fuller.
Ron, a good win, an impressive win and an important win. What pleased you most?
All of the above. It certainly was good. We toughed it out, especially when we struggled to score early. They tried to shut us down and push numbers back. But it was just perseverance, and I think that was the encouraging sign.
It was a fantastic effort. Any players you'd like to particularly pick out?
Look, of recent weeks, we've had the Shirleys, Sikalellas, Colvilles, Jeffries get a lot of the footy, but they were taken out of the game in some form today, and blokes like Allison, Matthews, McLaughlin really stood up, and Ryan Potter was terrific. You know, some of the lesser lights, if you like, really stood up.
I thought Stephen Hall played his role particularly well, had a loose man at times, ran forward, did well.
Well, that's right. They were trying to push that tall bloke back, so we decided to send a couple of ours forward. And whilst he didn't take 100 marks, he certainly made a competition, and that's what we asked for. Things
are looking pretty good for the Eagles. Well done, Ron.
Thanks, Mike.
Things are indeed looking pretty good for the Eagles. Hard to see them being tipped out of the top 5 at the moment. They're in 4th position, and with, 3 games in percentage on Port Adelaide now, you would think that they can't miss out. And with West Adelaide undoubtedly going to beat Glenelg, that's 2 games in percentage. Westies are ahead of Port Adelaide, so it really does virtually close out the final 5.
I think the important thing here also is, Neil, is that the Magpies aren't going well enough either. I mean, they had a real dip today. They got confident for a little while. They just weren't able to finish it off the game. And as I said, with games against Sturt and Centrals in the forthcoming weeks, I just can't see how they can beat those sides, as well as, bridge the gap percentage and win-wise.
Well, we won't nail the coffin shut yet, but it is first time, it seems, since 1985 that the Maggies are going to miss the finals.
I think the fat lady, she's just clearing her throat.
Well, we're on to back to the Eagles and the positives for the Eagles. It's been a fantastic afternoon for them. We'll go down to the dressing room, just have a look at how they're celebrating. And as you would expect, some very happy faces among those players there in the dressing rooms. An 8-point victory for the Eagles over Port Adelaide this afternoon, and it has some great ramifications, as we've been talking about, for the competition. Still, undoubtedly, I would have thought the top 3 in Norwood, Centrals and Sturt would carry the day, but you just wait and see. You never know. Guys like Paul Allison have pulled some things out of the hat this afternoon, haven't they?
They certainly have, and Ron Fuller spoke about the lesser lights, and Paul Allison is one of those, not really recognised, while the major players for the Eagles were actually shut down. You can see Paul Allison there, kicked a really important goal into the breeze. He's really excited. The Eagles seem to be really enjoying their footy at the moment, which is important. They're building momentum come towards the finals. They've got 5 more weeks. You just don't know what can happen in that period.
And as we said during the call, the man-on-man has become the focus at Oval Avenue, and it's been very successful. Justin Cicolella, another player who's benefited. Man-on-man, geez, hard to go with.
He certainly is, and I spoke a couple of weeks ago about him being one of the Magarey medal favourites, and you can see there just gets a toe poke, just smart enough to say, I haven't got time to pick the footy up, I can just get my foot on it, and that just gave the Eagles the lead there, and they were able to go on from there and finish with a nice 8-point victory.
But just look at those quarter-by-quarter scores, and the Eagles only the 5th time this season in SANFL footy their side has come from behind at three-quarter time to win the match, and they came, as you see there, from 5 points down at three-quarter time to win by 8 points.
And of course, the Oran Ballers were able to get their hand on the footy in that last quarter and just make the most of their opportunities when they went forward. We can see the goal kickers here. Greg Chapman with 2 quality goals, crumb goals. Skipworth, Fiarchi, McLaughlin, Allison, Henschel and Cicolella with 1 each. And for the Magpies, Ashling Carter with 2, Clayton, Burdett and Locum with 1 each.
And back down to Michael in the rooms. Obviously a problem there with Michael. I think he'll be right in a moment or two. Okay, we'll try again.
And we're expecting a hard game.
And just the feeling around the club moving into the finals off the field, going well?
Yes, no, we're fairly confident. Things started to run well on the field, and we've soon got a few things back on the off the field.
Somewhat of an echo chamber down there that I think Michael Parsons might be working in at the moment. We're not quite hearing the audio, but you're an old Eagles man. We didn't identify who that was.
John Candelaptis, the General Manager.
So he would have been undoubtedly happy to be making the finals. Looking at the finances, the Eagles undoubtedly need that sort of boost in their profile.
Yeah, unfortunately they haven't got the similar type of concept. They haven't got the poking machines like other clubs have got.
Well, just a quick look at those stats. Here's Moggy with a rundown of the individuals.
Yeah, before we do that, the Eagles have broken their own record for the season, kicking the lowest winning score at 8 goals, 9, beat their 9-9 against South. For them, Justin Cicolella had 29 possessions, 21 kicks and 8 handballs. Gavin Colville, 26. Josh McLaughlin, 23. And Robert Shirley, 20. For the Port side, Braden Lyle with 26. Alf Steed, 20. Brett Ebert, 18. And Chris Robertson, 17.
All right, Andrew, put you on the spot now with your Port Adelaide. Already, I think Stephen Williams has indicated I'm going to give some of the younger players a challenge. I'm going to give them some opportunities. As the season closes out, what do you do with guys like Alfie Steed, Braden Lyle, Darren Mead?
I think there's still much. I think the 3 players you identified there are still very much in the mix as far as the Magpies are concerned. But you've got to have a look at some players and see whether they can play senior footy and whether they can build a side around those players. But as well as, so it's a very fine line. Do you keep the Magpie faithful happy by perhaps winning some late games and building momentum in the next year, or do you give some kids a go who may be part of your future plans?
Well, season 2002 is not exactly over for the Maggies yet, of course. If you want to get the video of this afternoon's match, you're undoubtedly an Eagles fan, you can ring 8343 4601 during office hours. And as we look ahead to what you will be able to see next week on ABC TV, it's Port Sturt at the Adelaide Oval on Friday night, but our game for the weekend will be on Saturday afternoon from 2:30. South Adelaide against West Adelaide, and South gave the Centrals a real run for the money this afternoon, and Westies, of course, all but securing their top 5 place this afternoon. The other matches, Norwood and North, and Glenelg and Central. You wouldn't think that Glenelg's going to treat Central to much of a contest.
Yeah, well, you just know, down at Glenelg, you're just smaller oval than what the Centrals are used to. You just don't know what really can happen.
Well,
they're not in great touch at the moment, are they, the Dogs?
They are dipping, and certainly South Adelaide given a boost during the week with the appointment or reappointment for 2 years of Greg Anderson, and they may well give Westies a battle. But we'll see. That's all to come. That's next week